My brother sexually assaulted me, and now I'm the black sheep of the family, so I know that this can be a lot for some folks. And I'm sorry for the trigger warning. This post is truly for me to get it off of my chest because I'm really frustrated. Mobile, probably will be formatted wrong. Sorry again, this started back in 1995 when I was 3 years old. I had 2 older siblings at the time. We all were getting babysat by a friend of my father's. The shortest way I can put it is that my brother, the middle child, was taken fully advantage of by this individual. Since I was the youngest, my brother taught me things and took advantage of me not knowing any better. He was a child and didn't know what he was doing. This lasted for 6 years until I confessed to my mother. I knew it was bad, but being that young and innocent, the first didn't know exactly how bad. She didn't believe me and told me that he was just wrestling rough. I didn't know to explain it to her because I was ashamed in a lot of ways. When she asked my brother, he denied everything. I let it go and just lived with it. My eldest brother caught us in the act once and lost his mind about it. He didn't know what to do himself at the time since things were rough, and he was young. He wasn't believed either. Years went by. I brought it up once or twice through my teenage years since I knew it was something that I still needed to work through. My father heard my concerns and was beside himself. Turns out that they knew all along that my brother was used by this guy. They learned after my brother told them, and because the guy was taken in by the authorities at the same time for a similar case with another family for the same reason. He's still in prison over it. Even more years went by, but at least I had a foundation to work on. To know why it happened. When I was 19, my cousin passed away from acute lymphoblastic leukemia. He was 17, fought for 5 years against it, and died a month before his 18th. The following Christmas I was a complete wreck. It was the first experience that I had of someone so close passing away, watching them suffer, and then seeing what it did to my family. During this holiday, the first time in a long time, the family gathered for an actual happy time. I took my brother aside to tell him that I remembered and that I needed therapy. I told him there were many things that I needed to work through in order to get my life together, and that unfortunately I would have to bring that aspect of our childhood up. He swore he had no memory of anything. He went and told my grandparents what I said, and my grandmother told me, "You're horrible for bringing this up now during Christmas." They knew what happened back way when. Just scolded me for bad timing. Trust me, I get it, worst time for sure. I confess that I was a mess. More years went by. My middle child brother got married and had 2 baby girls. First grandchildren of our branch of the family. We all did our best to be happy. I was just newly 26 when my eldest brother passed away from pneumonia. It was a surprise for everyone. He acted tough and said it was just a cold when I would call him up to chat. I was across the county working at the time. I went back home to be with my father when I heard the news. My mother wasn't the best, so all of us 3 were closer to my dad. Horrible time. Side fact. His girlfriend was 7 months pregnant at the time and vanished from our lives because she didn't want to remember what she witnessed when my brother died and wanted to find a new father figure for my nephew. Long story, needs its own post. Shortly after, we all found out that my dad had throat cancer. Usually an easy thing to fix with a 90% recovery rate, but the apple from the tree had to come from somewhere. I stayed with him, took him to and from appointments. Used up $24,000 on my credit card for him to have the retirement he should have had for his last few months. I watched him die in front of me. Another long story I won't get to here. He died February 20th, 2020. My middle child brother, his wife, and my 2 nieces were who I lived with for the next 3 months. I spent everything I had to take care of the past family matters and had debt. I had a supervisor job at a local pharmacy, but the pandemic just started. The first quarantine came and my hours were cut. I was scolded by them for needing alone time, not cleaning the entire house, and not taking over childcare from the daycare while they worked their jobs. I get needing to help, but I was sad and was still paying rent. Excuses, but I can't lie about how depressed I was. They kicked me to the streets. My best friend of 14 years helped me through everything. Found me a better therapist than I had, and lent me money to move for work. During my new therapy sessions, I brought up the childhood abuse again. I was told to ask my brother about it. We still talked, we were the last in our family, it was really just my sister-in-law that found me useless. So? I asked him again. Bad. I get it that he doesn't want to remember. I get that him confessing might make him lose his wife and 2 daughters. So I really don't blame him for cutting ties. I miss him. Why the rest of my family has to drop me too? I don't really get it other than they're doing it for my nieces. I ran away. All I know is that I'm on my own. But hey, now I have one of the highest positions running a 5-star resort on an island after working my way up. I've been here since that time, and I'm dating a wonderful man. Things are looking up. Thanks for reading, if you did. Just writing this helped me out tons.
Tinder date admitted to turning up the heat really high to get me to take my clothes off. 19F. Met a guy on Tinder who was 22. After video calling a few times, we decided to go on our first date. We got along so well that we went on 3 more dates after that. He asked if I wanted to hang at his apartment and play some video games, and since I was pretty comfortable with him at this point, I agreed. We're playing It Takes Two, and after about 2 hours he tells me he needs to use the bathroom and that he'll be right back. After about 10 minutes he comes back and we resume playing. I notice that the room starts feeling significantly warmer, but I don't say anything. It's not until after I wipe some sweat from my forehead that I ask him if he can turn some air on. He says, "Hey, I'm not really hot, but if you're uncomfortable you can just take some clothes off." He smiles. I laugh uncomfortably and say that I think I'm good. What he said kept repeating in my mind and it was only getting hotter, so I made up an excuse that I had an emergency to take care of and left quickly. Later that day he texted me and said, "I was really hoping you'd want to put out faster than that. You looked like the type to be all over me. Not even turning on the heat worked. Can we just have sex next time? I don't want to waste any more time with you." After telling him what a fucking creep he was, I blocked him and reported his Tinder account. The lengths men will go to get laid is atrocious. He could have just asked rather than being coercive? Manipulating the situation? I don't know the word to assign this, but what a weirdo.
Found out my boyfriend of 3 years is a flat earther using a burner account because my boyfriend knows my main. Okay, so, me and my boyfriend were driving home and talking conspiracy theories, and I jokingly ask him, "Do you believe the earth is round or flat?" He very firmly says it's definitely flat. And then goes on spitting all these facts about NASA and there's a huge ice wall, and all this retarded shit. A few days later, he starts sending me videos from TikTok of people showing evidence of the earth being flat. I try to refute it but get called a sheep and to open your fucking eyes, Amelia, I can't even. It completely threw me off, and now I can't look at him the same. Surely he doesn't actually believe it's flat. I wanted to have children with this man. Is he going to push this idea onto our children? I honestly don't know what to do. It may not seem like a big deal to some, but to me it is. For someone to believe something that ridiculous, with so much conviction. The TikTok research is bad enough. I just don't know.